What are the benefits of Twitter? Why would you use it?
Well, as opposed to Facebook, Facebook is more of a private area, I suppose. It's not so open network, whereas Twitter is completely open. It's a way of getting across to a sort of a broader range of people, I suppose, and a wider range, across the world really, if you wanted to, depending on what your business is about. I mainly follow and get followed by Australian people. There are obviously a few other American people and people in other countries that I follow. It's business related. So it's really good for that, where you can find out what other people are doing and find content that's relevant to your business, something that you might be able to share that other people have posted. So bringing it back though to the basics. Twitter is a really good tool. There is a saying that I saw going around on Twitter probably about a year ago, and I absolutely loved it. It says that Facebook is for the people you went to school with, and Twitter is for the people that you wish you went to school with, because it just opens up to a whole range of people. And honestly, the people that I have met on Twitter has just been amazing. Business related, and just even a few people that I've found I've got along really well with and actually made like real friends from Twitter. But yeah, as a business tool, it's really great. And because with Facebook, you're not as likely to have as many friends on Facebook as you do followers on Twitter. For example, I think I've got about 300 friends on Facebook. I've got at last count, I think it was nearly 1,500 people following me on Twitter, and I follow just under 2,000 people. That they're quite high numbers. Any more than that, and I think it'd be a little bit too hard to keep track of.
Yeah, how do you keep track of 2,000 people?
Yeah, you sort of, you can categorise your followers and the people that you follow into lists.
Yep.
So for example, I've got a list that's kind of state by state, or sort of relevant to what they do. So for example, I've got a group of people that are social media based. I've got another group of people that, they're kind of other consultants. I've got another group of people that are like, food and wine people. And then, apart from that, those sort of little groups though, they're sort of state by state. So if I want to just see what my Tassie followers are doing, I've got one just for Tassie, and I just sort of tap in there and I just have a bit of conversation with people. People throw up random status updates, and if you find something quite funny or interesting, or they might post a link to a website or a blog post that they found, or they could be a really good writer and you find what they write about's quite interesting. Then you sort of, you follow what they're doing, and then when they post something that you find interesting, you comment on it, and the conversation kind of starts, and little relationships start all over Twitter. And once that starts to happen, it's amazing where that can take you. Yeah.
And are there any, I suppose, things that you need to be aware of if you're posting stuff on Twitter? Like, can you, like with Facebook, remove stuff if you've put it on Twitter? If all of a sudden you think, you know what, that probably wasn't the best thing to post, can you take that off?
No, like I said, anything that goes on Twitter stays on Twitter.
Yep.
I actually have got my Facebook business page linked to Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime I do a status update on my Facebook page, it goes out to Twitter automatically.
Okay.
So I've got to be extra careful, because it's not just a matter of pressing delete on Facebook. Even if I do that on Facebook, it's still out there in Twitter, and it's there on Twitter. It won't be removed. Yep. So yes.
Okay. Obviously, having them linked means that you only have to do one update as opposed to updating everything.
Yes.
And so do you use that as a mechanism? Like, is that how you would normally do your updates, or do you do separate ones on Twitter and Facebook?
No, I do separate ones on Twitter. I just have that linked to my Facebook page, so that my business stuff gets tweeted straight away. But I still continue to use Twitter separately to Facebook. The reason for that is that Twitter, it's much better to use Twitter as a person and not always talking about your business. the more you act like a normal human being, the more people will like you, and the more, you know, they will be willing to converse with you. If you're talking about just business stuff all the time, people are not going to talk to you. They're not interested in your business really. They're more interested about you. And if you, you know, have engage in quite interesting little conversations, or for example, last night we were talking about Wolfenstein. You know, completely non-business related, but I sent a tweet out saying that my office was taken over by my boyfriend playing Wolfenstein, and I was under attack by all these Wolfenstein lovers, you know, stuff like that. And then when you start building a relationship up with people, they will then look to find out more what you're about. And with your Twitter profile, there's also you have the option of putting a website, like a URL. That links directly through to my blog, not my website. Because it's, again, a blog is an interactive tool, and when you're working with social media, it's best to keep it as interactive as possible. If they then find what you're doing on your blog is quite interesting, they'll come and check out your website. They will just automatically want to find out more about you. So yes, it's more about being the person, not the business.
Yeah. And for your social media to work, do you need to engage Facebook, Twitter, blogs, all of those things? Like, is it going to be more effective if you've got all of those mechanisms running as opposed to just trying to use Facebook?
Yes, because it gives you a wider reach.
Yeah.
Like I was saying with Twitter, you have a much wider reach with Twitter than what you do with Facebook. Facebook can become quite confined until you build up quite a large fan base, and that can take a while. Whereas Twitter, you know, that all happens quite quickly. Yes, so if you're integrating Twitter, Facebook and YouTube all together, that's really the best way of going about it, because the more platforms that people can move around, because you will have fans that are only on Twitter, ones that are only on Facebook, and ones that primarily use YouTube and they don't bother with anything else. So you want to be able to be there for each of those different types of people. And as I said, you know, you can then put your videos into Facebook, you can then share it on Twitter, and you can share what you put on Facebook and Twitter, and you know, work it around so that all of your content is getting around all those platforms. Yeah.
And what about MySpace? Is it still...
not for a business.
No?
No. Unless you're a musician.
Okay.
Yeah. I think really that's what MySpace is best used for now.
Yeah, you just don't hear about it so much, so I was just wondering whether or not it played a role anymore, or whether it was specific.
Not so much, no.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, however, though,
yeah,
that's a really good tool, and it's a very underutilised tool, especially with Tasmanian people. Same again, if you're going to be on LinkedIn, have a good profile picture. This is where it's very important not to have a picture of your pets.
Yep. No pets, no kids. Okay, lesson from today, and whatever you put on Twitter stays on Twitter forever. All right, well, thank you, Jodie.
No problem.
It's been great talking to you, and if you'd like to hear more of Jodie, she'll be presenting on the 26th of July at our Glenorchy branch here in Tasmania.